I get the opportunity to introduce Beth Hawks, who is going to share with us tonight on the theme of All In. I know many of you have had the privilege of your children learning, studying under Beth, but to be someone who gets the opportunity to work with Beth, she is a phenomenal teacher. When you talk about the idea of all in, man, she is all in for this school. She is all in for your children. She is absolutely passionate about what she does. One of the things that, again, I really appreciate is how much she seeks not just to challenge, not to equip, but she desires to inspire your kids to be more, to do more, to achieve more. One of her passions is studying and learning and sharing about NASA and that whole idea of the heroism in that and the exploration and the boldness in that is something that I think sometimes can be lost, kind of on our younger generations of just how incredible it is that those folks accomplish. But something, again, she's passionate about sharing with our kids. And again, she's been here as a teacher and also as a yearbook editor and advisor. She goes to everything. And part of that is because she's a yearbook advisor, but I'm convinced that even if she didn't have the yearbook responsibility, she would go to everything because she, again, is just all in. So if you would please welcome Beth Hawks to the stage.
Thank you, Eric. I think I only deserve about half of that, but I appreciate it anyway. Okay, so just so you know, talking to adults is different from talking to kids. I'm far more nervous tonight than I am in my classroom. And because of that, I'm going to read this, but I swear I don't do it to your kids. Okay. In 1903, President Theodore Roosevelt said, "Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Each day, we hope to honor that prize by working hard at the education of your students, work that I am certain is worth doing." Eric asked me to speak to you tonight about the benefits that come from being all in at Grace. But before I do that, I figure we should probably be on the same page about what it means to be all in. If we surveyed the room, there's some answers I imagine that we could expect. For some of you, arriving early and staying late would represent it. And I agree. But while that's true, I think we would find that in most places. It's not unique to Grace. For others of you, being all in would be defined by attending school events and dances, plays, games, all those things. And while that's true, if you're friends with any teachers from anywhere else, you know that's not unique to Grace either. Teachers everywhere are doing that. And for a lot of people, money is obviously where their commitment is shown. And so their definition of being all in would likely be giving money to a cause. And I agree, and I hope you will tonight. But that's true of any nonprofit, and thus only part of what it means to be all in at Grace. For me, what it means to be all in at this school specifically is to be completely on board with both the mission and vision statements in the everyday practice of our work. Since I'm assuming most of you don't have those statements memorized, let me remind you of what they say. The mission statement reads, "Grace Christian School is a loving community that spiritually and academically equips, challenges, and inspires students to impact their world for Christ." And the weight of that mission is heavy, and it requires daily dedication, but it's nothing compared to the vision statement. The vision statement says, "Students at Grace Christian School will be grounded in God's Word and challenged to achieve academic excellence as they prepare to use their gifts and abilities effectively to follow God's plan for their lives." At the very first meeting that teachers had with Eric Bradley, he challenged us to actually pray the students' names into the vision. That's an incredible perspective changer. And by the way, this is not in my notes, but why you should be really glad he's our head of school. It's no longer students will, but Hannah will, Bradley will, Olivia will. It requires that you know students as individuals and help them to grow in the uniqueness of God's plan for them specifically. To teach anywhere is a sacrifice of time, energy, and emotion. But the uniquely Grace combination of these two statements requires that every teacher do their work with their whole heart invested in service to the Lord. So now, what are the benefits of this investment, since that's what I was asked to talk to you about? After 16 years here and 14 years doing the yearbook, I can tell you that there are many. And like any good investment, there's going to be short-term returns as well as some that take years and longer to mature. And I do want to tell you some stories, but to protect the privacy of current students and recent alumni. I'm going to use mostly fake names. Day after day, I get to see evidence of students benefiting from teachers being all in. It's evident in Caleb and David, who come to my room still debating about a point that they were arguing in history, because their all-in history teacher isn't content for students to memorize dates and themes, but he actually makes it relevant to their experience as students. You can see it in the open mouth wonder of someone like Rebecca, an anatomy student who has just taken someone's blood pressure for the first time. Because while we all know Dr. Smitley gives hard tests, his commitment to the mission statement means he doesn't challenge students without also inspiring them. In fact, Kira, who you saw earlier, recently posted this on Facebook. She has just finished her master's degree and will soon be pursuing her PhD in genome, cell, and developmental biology. I don't even know what all those things mean, and I teach them. And she actually calls out a thank you to Dr. Smitley and says that she hopes to be just like him someday. I know, right? It's visible in Roger, who has always hated reading until this year. But because Mrs. Petty is so dedicated to the Grace vision to help students develop their individual gifts, she found him just the right book at the beginning of the year to spark a love of reading in him, and his world has been turned upside down. It shows up in the yearbook inscription, where a student tells me that they admire me for not caring what other people think of me. I know, it doesn't sound like a compliment, but when you're in the 8th grade and what you care about most is what other people think of you, it's kind of a big deal. So, it's true. One of the best things about teaching at a school the size of Grace is that I have the opportunity to teach students for more than 1 year. And because of this opportunity, there's another reward that I get from being all in. I get to see students grow from goofy middle schoolers in the 8th grade, like we all were, to mature young men and women. When Josh was in the 8th grade, he did the absolute minimum he had to do just to pass. But this year, I have him in physics, and he's fun to teach. He asks a lot of questions. He offers suggestions for videos we can watch that are absolutely related to what we're talking about. I don't know how he knows every video on YouTube, but we'll be in the middle of talking about centripetal force, and he'll go, we should watch that video where they spin the honeycombs. And all of a sudden, I'm learning about something I didn't know existed, which is fun for me. And one of my favorite responsibilities is actually getting to write college recommendation letters, because I get a chance to reflect and tell those kinds of stories that illustrate how they've changed. And they really do. They leave us different people than when they entered. And that can only be the result of God using us as we're all in with our students. The really long-term payoff of being all in can be seen in the lives of our alumni. If you come to the upper campus during the first week of January, you'll find a dozen or more graduates roaming the hall, visiting their high school teachers. That's not something I did, right? They share their stories of college. They thank us for preparing them well, which is always nice. They reminisce about their time with us, and we just get to enjoy each other. There's 2 guys, Jake and William. They visit us together. They always come together every time they're in town. And the best part is that not only are they being successful in school, but they're really excited about serving the Lord. And I follow them on Twitter, and they tweet about serving the Lord, which is incredibly public and awesome. For some students, the bond is longer lasting, and we forge actual friendships. Liz, who graduated from here over a decade ago, used to drop by my classroom really frequently and say, "I'm here to kidnap you. Let's go to dinner." And we'd go and talk for a long time. She's the mother of 5 children now, so that doesn't happen anymore. But we still get to communicate online and enjoy each other as people, and it's been really nice. Last year, when one of our science department teachers had a baby shower, half of the people in attendance were her former students. And when Hannah Brown, that's her real name, when Hannah Brown got married last summer, there were Grace teachers at every table. Sometimes alumni return for more than a visit. Liz Murray taught 1st grade here for a while. Sarah Jarvis is currently teaching on our 2nd grade team. Anna Green and Liz Wilson have come back and coached basketball for us. And Hannah Eichhorst, who sat in my physics class as Hannah Vanderken, is now not only a colleague in my department, who still won't call me by my first name, but her teaching inspires me on a daily basis. And I can't think of a more profound payoff for the investment of teaching here. So while I'm standing here tonight as a representative of teachers who are all in, I'm excited to tell you that I'm just that. I'm a representative. I'm not the exception. There are a lot. And as the yearbook advisor, I get to see that. I get to see every teacher in every classroom on both campuses at some point during the year, and usually multiple times during the year. I get to see them do incredible things that require time and planning and love and dedication. In short, I get to see teachers and staff being all in on a daily basis. So I'm going to tell you about some of those. Next door to my classroom is Zane Smitley, who I already mentioned. You will find him at his desk at 6 o'clock every morning. And that's because in the afternoons, his room is filled with students who are taking measurements of plants, studying bones, or attending some incredible health classes, which is always standing room only, and once required the use of 2 classrooms because there were so many people there. Zane's all in, for sure. I can't remember the last time Megan Stone was alone in her classroom. She teaches calculus and statistics, 4 sections of which are AP. She challenges her students, and then she gives her time to help her students meet that challenge. Yet she is also the sponsor of the math club, and this year volunteered to be the leader of student council. She's either a crazy lady or she's all in. Speaking of student council, I don't know if you know, we have student council on both campuses. Carol Shelton has been advising the TK through 6 student council for years. Now try to imagine developing the leadership skills of 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. Wrangling their energy into something productive and instilling the ideal of service in others, service to others into their hearts. This photo was taken right before the Operation Christmas Child shoebox collection, and this is her praying with her little student council children. So I think it's safe to say that Carol is all in. Elizabeth Walters, the art teacher on our campus, and this is true of Marilee as well, spends hours planning field trips and preparing student artwork for competitions. She takes them to Art Spark museum exhibits, Duke Gardens, Art Space, the Scrap Exchange, Crystal Cerrone Class Studio, others, and more and more. She enters their work in the State Fair, the Women's Club, Congressional Art Competitions, and ACSI. While it would be easier for her to keep them in the classroom, she wants them to have real-world art experiences, and she wants them to have time with other people who share those God-given interests and talents. It's a really tangible expression of the Grace vision, and it shows that Elizabeth is all in. Several weeks ago, there was a picture on Facebook with, this is 2 teachers, a facility staff member, our TK6 assistant principal, and I don't know if you can see in the background this slightly embarrassed 3rd grade boy. And the caption reads, "How many adults does it take to dig through the garbage to find a retainer?" See, they're holding it up. Now, I don't know about you, but I have really vivid memories of digging through the trash to find my retainer. But there are no adults in those memories. I was digging myself. The really smiling, happy people in this picture showed this boy what a loving community looks like. They are for sure all in. Marcia Wingard believes so strongly in the value of student reading that she has completely organized her classes around reading choice. She gives them the first 10 minutes of instructional time every day to just read. That's a lot of time. I don't know if you realize that. She's invested hundreds of dollars in books for her classroom library, and she tracks their reading so that they can see how much it builds and the cumulative effect of that reading time. She spends summers designing and refining projects so that students will interact with what they're reading and not just fake their way through classroom discussions like we all did. And this year, didn't you? I did. All right. And this year, she started the Writing Center, where she mentors older students who mentor younger students in their writing. Marcia is definitely all in. Willoughby Coates has been all in for as long as I can remember. Her official title is Student Information Manager, but I'm pretty sure if you read her job description, it would say whatever needs to be done. She does all the intake paperwork for admissions. She administers medications to students. She helps with dress checks for dances. She deals with the dropping of adding of classes, creating report cards, chasing down teachers who haven't turned in their grades yet, and has anything anyone might need in her office. I am convinced if I went in and said, I know this is weird, but I need a monkey wrench, she'd be like, bottom drawer, go ahead. And she does all of this with a smile and that charming Southern accent, and she's the first representation that many kids have of our loving community. Mary Claudia Huntley is the first grade teacher you wish you had. As soon as you walk through her door, you know you are loved, and so does your 6-year-old. Last year, when she was at home recovering from surgery, she posted many times on Facebook about how she wanted to be at school. and how she missed her firsties. That's what she calls them. Mary Claudia is definitely all in. So as you can see, I stand here tonight as just a representative of an entire school of faculty, staff, and administrators who take the work of equipping, challenging, and inspiring very seriously, but also very joyfully. It is our pleasure to know your kids as individuals and help them find and develop their gifts. While it looks different in each of our classrooms and in each of our roles, we're all in. So I think Teddy Roosevelt was right. Working hard at work worth doing is a wonderful thing. The outcomes are not only deeply meaningful, but they are also eternal rewards. I'm going to leave you with one last thought from freedom writer Manny Scott. In a seminar that Laura Jacobs and I were privileged to attend a few weeks ago, he said, life at its best is about helping people, serving people, and giving yourself to people. You have the ability to experience life at its best tonight by being all in. Thank you.